I thought we'd do some net zero project bollocks today. Yeah, we'd look at a couple of particular products that you can see are being sold into our government, and we're going to go with one of them. And when they tell you it's for your benefit and the benefit of the area, it isn't. Let's talk about Teesside. Right, the lovely Teesside. In 1850, Middlesbrough became known as Ironopolis. But today's Teesside is a bit different because Middlesbrough itself is among England's most deprived local authorities. Nearly 8% of its youth are out of work, almost 25% of 16 to 64-year-olds are economically inactive, and 23% of the population are in social housing. Yet the average house price is only about £137,000. You can't buy a bathroom for that price in London. So you can see, right, why a brilliant new plan for business in Teesside should be absolutely welcomed. It really should be. But not all is as it seems. Because in the area, the government has plans to develop a very huge brownfield site where the old Redcar steelworks and associated industries used to be. It used to provide thousands and thousands of jobs for locals, but now it's just a wasteland of 4,500 acres. To give you an idea, that's about 2,500 football pitches or 18.2 square kilometres. So it's bloody massive, right? Huge. Now, there are two competing visions and proposals for this land. Both of them make me smile, but that's kind of a hysterical smile because neither of them make any sense. The first is BP's Net Zero Teesside and H2 project, which is a hydrogen production and carbon capture hub, claiming to remove and store 2 million tonnes of CO2 each year. And the second is a £100 billion hyperscale data centre complex backed by global tech companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, Anthropic, and others. It would make it almost twice the size of the largest data centre in the world. So it's ambitious. BP's carbon capture and hydrogen plan is part one. And we've done carbon capture before and you know a bit about it, but let's review it. Carbon capture and storage aims to trap CO2 produced by industrial processes, and it aims to compress it and inject it underground into geological formations. Old oil wells usually is the preferred choice. In theory, it's supposed to prevent emissions from entering the atmosphere, but the reality is they are eye-wateringly expensive and crap, because across all global carbon capture projects combined, they capture roughly 50 million tonnes of carbon per year, which is less than 0.15% of global annual emissions. Right? Most have failed or are failing. I have got a whole video on this bullshit. Click on it below if you want to learn more about it. There isn't one project in the world that isn't failing economically or practically. In fact, some of these projects produce more carbon than they capture. Brilliant. The Institute for Energy, Economics and Financial Analysis, Greenpeace and Carbon Tracker all describe carbon capture as an expensive, pointless distraction, right? So obviously Ed loves it. And then there's the second part of their proposal, which is hydrogen and automation. So this project plans to produce up to 1.2 gigawatts of low carbon hydrogen by reforming natural gas and capturing CO2 emissions. It's called blue hydrogen. But blue hydrogen, made from gas with carbon capture, is only as clean as the capture rate. And if they don't capture enough carbon, then they have to run on imported gas. Right, I've already told you they don't really work very well. Now, BP and its partners estimate about 3,000 jobs, but only in the construction phase. They think about 1,000 permanent roles combined for the Net Zero Teesside and the H2 Teesside sites, but I'm not so sure. It is mostly fully automated. Then there's the second proposal, which is the data centre option. This is the alternate vision, and that's to build a hyperscale AI data centre campus instead. And the reports suggest it's 500,000 square metres of floor space, making it, like I said, about twice the size of any existing facility worldwide. Massive. Now, data centres consume enormous amounts of electricity, mainly for computing and cooling, and global demand from data centres is expected to double by 2030, reaching around 945 terawatts annually, which is more than the total power consumption of Japan, right? A data centre campus drawing 5 gigawatts of continuous power, which this one will do, is about 43 terawatt hours per year, which is the same as powering about 10 to 15 million homes. Seriously. So where are we getting that energy from then? We already know we're short of energy. Did you know that some of our solar farms and wind farms that we've already built might not even be connected to the grid until the 2040s? Ask yourself, I wonder how those businesses are surviving at all, really. I mean, if they've got no income. Anyway, providing energy for this data centre means adding a multi-gigawatt industrial site in Teesside that would require a 5 gigawatt substation, amongst the largest ever built in Britain, reinforced transmission lines running hundreds of kilometres, guaranteed 24/7 power supply. And the jobs? Well, there's loads of jobs in that construction phase. Yeah, of course. But just like the hydrogen plant, data centres have limited employment afterwards. Even really large facilities typically employ between 50 and 300 permanent staff. So that's it, really. Still with me? Let's talk about the water and land use then, because both options require significant water resources, which we're told is in short supply. Carbon capture and hydrogen plants use water for cooling, steam and chemical reactions, and data centres consume large quantities for evaporative cooling, unless they use advanced dry systems, but doesn't say that. Even a House of Commons briefing has already raised concerns that the UK does not track water use by data centres effectively, which creates a risk of local shortages. That's why they're going to want smart meters, isn't it? So that they could be externally controlled, because you can't cut power to a data centre. And as for the land itself, well, 4,500 acres of coastal industrial ground could, of course, be repurposed for housing, light manufacturing, or even, which would be excellent for the environment, regenerative agriculture, which would provide much broader local benefits and far more jobs in lots of other industries. See, that's kind of where I'd be going. In this insane picture above of these two projects, of course, there's loads of funding and subsidies, aren't there? Because carbon capture funding in the UK is committed at £21.7 billion to support these projects over 25 years, including Teesside. Without this public money, no company could build such projects, which means we're paying for it. So we'll pay the shareholders and any of their dividends, exactly like we do with biofuel. Hello, Drax. How are you spending last year's 900 million taxpayer gift? Just checking. And BP's funding, oh, well, this is really special because the cost is so huge and BP and their backers need to make profit, right? It's a business. It employs people. It has to make profit. This is where we come in because these guys will be paid in the same sort of way we fund wind farms not to produce energy. The government will issue a low carbon hydrogen agreement, which tops up BP's hydrogen revenue to a pre-agreed price. So if they don't produce any, they still get paid that price. And then there's the extra bit they've added on for us through our bills, because there's a change in how the gas is charged for by the suppliers, and that will flow through to people's gas bills. Absolutely fantastic. Both schemes rely on state-funded grid upgrades, subsidies, and guaranteed purchase agreements, meaning profits are privatized and all the risk is socialized. Stakeholder capitalism perfected. If the projects underperform, taxpayers still pay for the connections, the pipelines, and possibly even the maintenance. Both visions for Teesside expose the same structural weaknesses all through the UK's energy policy, which is dependence on large, centralised, foreign-owned infrastructure, all subsidised by the state with little employment after construction. If the hydrogen carbon capture plan wins, it locks Britain into decades of gas dependency that we're having to import under the pretense of net zero. And if the data centre plan wins, it ties huge chunks of national electricity capacity to foreign corporations who export the profits while importing the energy. Absolutely outstanding. Either way, local residents won't really benefit because Teesside doesn't need another green industrial miracle. It needs local, job-rich industries. But they're few and far on the ground, aren't they? What do you think? What do you think of these two ideas for Teesside? Do you think there's benefit in it? Do you think it will save the planet? Do you think it will provide extra wealth for the area of Teesside? How will it help them? Let me know, because I just can't see the upside. Comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time.